What is up, everybody? Keith, aka Gator Guy 231, here to break down another Saturday main slate of college football using Draftkings scoring and pricing. I hope everybody had a great weekend last weekend. It was an awesome one at FSI. Our tennis coach, Jay Scott, used our core plus a little bit of Gator love on Kyle Pitts to take down the $333 GPP for a cool 20K. So congrats to him. Congrats to all the winners. I've had a few people reach out to me to thank for the videos. So look, I would say you're welcome, but hey, we're only as good as the video that we are currently doing. So let's jump into picks and hopefully continue to get on the best place. Quick reminder, if you enjoy these videos and all the things we do at FSI that are free on this YouTube channel, bottom right of the screen, hit that subscribe button. Also, like, comment. It all really helps. All right, let's jump into the picks. So at quarterback, per usual, I'm going over the top. I'm going to skip down the top, guys. I really, truly believe that you give away equity the more higher up you spend. And there's just too many guys in that mid to low tier that I think can get us in range of what the Fields, Trask, Book, Ellinger, all those guys, they are all obviously awesome plays. But it's, this is DFS. It's about, value expectation per dollar. And we've really got to make our salary cap work, especially this week because there's so many other good spots to pay up. So the highest I probably go is Armstrong from Virginia, but I don't even know if we need to go that high. I starting to fall in love in the range at Plummer from Purdue. Look, with Purdue, they are fast. They love to throw, run a ton of plays, all these things that we love for DFS. So at 7,900, I think he is very solid. And a potential shootout game versus Nebraska. I do want to just point out one thing. I put a tweet out on this, but Max Dugan last week, it's funny because I had him in late and I wasn't like watching the box score and I was like, oh man, great pick, Keith. Like Dugan's doing awesome. Three passes, 3 touchdowns, 3 runs, one's a touchdown. So like that was definitely fortunate on him. But no, we're not on him versus Oklahoma State. My guy this week, I really like Jeff Sims at Georgia Tech. Look, I think Georgia Tech versus NC State could be pretty high scoring. You all that have been paying attention for a while know I love my running quarterbacks. Jeff Sims, I think it's pretty much like outside of a few games, he's almost always double digits rushing attempts. Last week versus Duke, eclipsed over 100 yards. Also is going to give us, close to 20 pass attempts. Georgia Tech does like to run the ball. But Sims gives us passing upside plus a ton of rushing at 7,300 in a good matchup. I will be hard-pressed not to have him in my lineups. Just really like the play. Martinez is in that game that I really like versus Purdue, sorry. And look, Adrian Martinez, we know from past years, can run the ball. Probably better than he throws it. But 18 of 20 last week in a tough matchup versus Iowa, only 12 for 28 running. But I think, if he were to get 12 to 15 attempts versus Purdue, we'd see that much higher. Look, with Nebraska, we have to watch that quarterback situation, make sure that Luke McCaffrey's not going to start. But it looks like that, it is going to be Martinez's role to end the season. And then McCaffrey will take over starting next season once Martinez is gone. So I think that, that low 7K range is really solid. Brock Purdy is fine, but, I'm going to talk about this with Breece Hall. I'm really just kind of going to try to avoid this ISU West Virginia games. Both teams are pretty good defensively, so I think we can skip it. Going down, one interesting play, I think, is Graham Mertz. Look, the issue with Wisconsin, especially without Indiana having Penix, we really don't know how good Indiana will be. Look, it's just if Wisconsin gets ahead, they're just going to want to pound the rock. But Mertz does give us a little rushing upside. Just an insanely good passer. 6,700 I think is great. Jurkovich, same thing. Very little amount of rushing upside, but solid passer. Again, we're getting these good passers in these low tiers. So I really like that. Let me just make sure there's nobody else I was missing down here. Don't think so. I do want to just give one punt that I wonder if he's going to be fairly popular, which is Will Howard. Another guy that likes to run the ball a ton. Issue is he has not been great passing the ball. But a really plus matchup versus Texas at home. Look, if we're going to get like 10 to 15 rushes and, up to 20 passing attempts, 5,300 in the game, that could, get into the 60s. I think that's pretty solid. So, if you use Will Howard, I think you open up a ton of salary. All right, that's about my quarterback pool. Let's get to running backs, which is going to be even a tighter pool for me. I love Williams. I love Hall. Probably will not have either of them. Williams obviously drops a great matchup versus Syracuse in a game that Notre Dame should absolutely dominate. But, if Notre Dame dominates too much, the question becomes is how much Williams are we going to see? So I think I'm going to be, off Williams. Hall has a tough matchup versus West Virginia. I just struggle to pay $300 more for Hall when I get Xander Horvath, who, look, in a lot of ways, this is going to be, terrible. So the first thing that came to my mind, though, but, poor man's Alvin Kamara with as much receiving upside he's giving us. Look at this, 4, 5, 9, 6, and 2. Look, in college, we don't get running backs that get that type of pass usage all that often. And when you add that into, being the main ball carrier for Purdue in a game that I love, I think that he is a really solid play, 8,400. Jahmyr Gibbs. So he is actually going to be, in my opinion, this week's Chuba Hubbard with the injury news that we're all just waiting for, because 8,100, if he's in, I'm not playing him. That price is insane. But if he is out, Mason, who was the running back to start the season for Georgia Tech, who also left last week injured, but seems, more likely of the two that, everything I've seen is that Mason is not the one that we're going to be watching for injury designation. They both showed up on the depth chart today, so there's a chance that they're both in. But if Gibbs were to miss, I think at 4,200, Jordan Mason would be an absolute lock. All right. With that said, let's just go over a couple of the other top guys up here. I think Tyler Goodson is going to be the absolute chalk. Just huge usage. 30, 20, 20 in the last 3 games. This is a really, really good matchup versus Illinois. So, and the price is still too cheap for that type of carrying. So I think that Goodson is going to be a lock, and I do think he's probably going to be the highest owned of the running backs. Excuse me. As we go down, look, I think Jackson, after his amazing performance last week, if Hubbard and LD Brown both miss again, I think some people may go back to the well, but TCU is not a matchup I want to target. So I will be off of him, but 6,200 is fun. Going down, there wasn't a lot else here that, really, really jumped out to me. I do think kind of like a YOLO dart, if you think Wisconsin is going to roll, is Garrett Groshek at 4,400. Kind of does everything back for Wisconsin. He's probably going to get 8 to 10 carries, so I think he is definitely in play. The other guy, let's see, Ohio State, Trey Sermon at 3,500 does get a good amount of work. And if you just want to punt off the position or you need a flex punt, I think you can do a lot worse than Trey Sermon versus the terrible Michigan State Spartans. So I think that works. But again, the guy I really, really want to see and get is Mason. All right, let's go to wide receiver. We're almost done here, guys. So at the top, of course, Wilson and Pitts are in play. But look, my guy, and last season, for those of us that play college football, the guy that you locked in every single week is the guy on the cover of this video, Rondale Moore. Ever since he's come back from injury, he's been nothing shorter than the guy that we love. Even getting a few running back carries, but 22 catches in the first 2 games back. I was stunned to see him under 7K. I assumed that he was going to be 8,800 or 9,000, and I was going to be trying to figure out how to jam him in. 6,000 is just a lock and load for me. So love Rondale Moore. Wan'Dale Robinson. I always forget the name of the Nebraska running backs. Sorry, it's Dedrick Mills. So if Mills can't go, Robinson, you can still be able to give 5-10 carries to, which is 6,900 makes him in play. Not a better play than Moore, but certainly if you want to stack up that game, I think Wan'Dale is a great way to do that. Tony, for me, now that Pitts is healthy, Florida wide receiver corps, I love my Gators, but they just spread the ball around too much. So, it kind of takes me off a lot of them. But, I didn't give Kyle Pitts his justice. All the guy does is catch touchdowns. So, Tennessee is not going to – I don't think going to cause the Gators a ton of problems. So Kyle Pitts is always live. As we go down, I'm going to avoid the Indiana wide receivers without Penix, especially in a tough matches versus Wisconsin. They're just fades to me. McKinley, we called him on this preview last week as being an awesome player for North Carolina, and he definitely showed up. He's fine at 6,000. Again, it's the blowout. Thomas, I like a lot for NC State, and this is a sneaky Georgia Tech versus NC State could be a sneaky shootout. So I think that's fine. The guy I really do want to highlight in this range is Zay Flowers, so I think it's just a complete misprice by DraftKings. If you look at his DraftKings production, 16.6, 11, 15.7, 11.7, 12.1, 43.2, 14.6. Yeah, he's at 5,200 and a positive plus matchup versus Virginia. Look, you can look at these wide receiving numbers and just go, he's maybe getting a little bit lucky. But if you look at the targets, they're still elite in that time. So 5,200, I think it's going to be a tough guy for me to pass on. As we go through here, I think Amizi is another guy I like a lot. Kohler always seems to show up, but again, I want to be really careful with these Iowa State guys in a tough matchup. Let's see if there's anybody else. There's one guy down here that I want to mention, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody else that I didn't see on my first run before we get out of here. All right. I'm sure there was some. And look, I'll just say this as I leave. I have one more pick for you guys. But if I missed anybody, please feel free to reach out in comments and ask me. There's so many players in college football that are always in play. My goal here is to maybe just be honest with you guys and give you the guys that I'm honing in on for my lineups and my builds, but not to intentionally not mention somebody for any reason. But the guy I do want to mention, the last one out, and it is from the game that I said that I'm going to be careful with, but Tyreek Milton. And look, I am not an Iowa State homer. I don't know a ton about the team other than Breece Hall is damn good. But everything I've read is that Tyreek Milton has been like the missing point, the missing part of this offense. They are so stoked to have him back. Brock Purdy loves throwing to him, runs out of the slot, 3,700. They say he's quite explosive. He showed up for 6 for 32, and I believe he led the team in targets. So 3,700, especially versus a good West Virginia team, and maybe I would say is to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. I always like the slot guy. So 3,700, he stuck out as a value play wide receiver for me. Well, guys, we are done. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do hope that this helps and you enjoy the content. Once again, if you have not already, bottom right, hit subscribe. And with that, I say see ya and good luck. Bye.